Okay, hey, welcome back from the break. We're going to just continue talking about business requirements analysis, and that should bring us to the end of the domain. All right, so stick with me. Like I said, we are just continuing to cover things that I introduced in the scenario, and we're just going to talk through those in just a little more detail. Certainly something that I've brought up several times already is an SLA, a service level agreement. If you remember what I said about SLA, it's the way, hold on, there we go, that we get accountability. Let me write that correctly. Right? How do you hold a service provider responsible when they fail to meet an agreed upon level of service? And that's what an SLA is. So it's going to be a fine, a fee, a penalty, what else? Discount. Okay? What happens when they fail to meet that scenario I keep giving you, right? I implement a ticket, right? Help desk ticket, and you got to respond to me within at least 5 hours. If you don't get to me in that 5-hour period, you have violated the SLA. What are you going to do to make up for that? Right? Is there a fine, a fee, maybe a discount on our next billing cycle? Who knows? So service level agreement is definitely something. So we're looking, as far as the users are concerned, we're looking for responses in a timely manner, right? Certainly that technical support. And it's not just for the end users. What happens when the administrators have questions? What happens when the technical experts run into an issue where they definitely need to interact with a professional, an administrator on the service provider's side, right? You need to link up, you need to have a video chat, you need to, share your screen, some kind of remote desktop, a team viewer situation where they can take control of your mouse and make the configuration changes for you as they make you feel good about the mistakes you've made, right? That kind of thing. So service level agreements are very important to discuss when doing a vendor assessment, when looking for the cloud service provider that's going to meet your business needs the best. And the business needs itself, right? You have to consider uptime. Maybe something like outages, breaches. Okay? The overall reliability. Can I trust this service provider? Do they have a reputation for staying on top of their customer interactions? Do they maintain uptime? Do they respond to tickets quickly, efficiently? Do they avoid massive outages because they have alternate data center sites running and ready to go? Do they have proper response procedures when it comes to cyber threats or some kind of cyber attack or a breach, right? What is their incident response procedures? What kind of disaster recovery, business continuity, right? All of these things kind of come up. You definitely want to understand them. Have that go into your documentation as far as your due diligence. You, again, right? I talked about this yesterday. You're gathering as much information and data as you can to provide to your C-suite, your stakeholders, your decision makers, so that they have as much information in front of them as they can in order to make a well-informed decision. That's the best that you can do as a cloud professional, as an IT professional in general, right? The more information that you can gather for your decision maker, the better decision that they're capable of making. Now, caveat to that, not every manager is the best. Even with all the information in front of them, they'll probably, maybe still make a bad decision. That could be because they wanted to save more money on the budget. They don't want to pay for this super expensive software solution or cloud environment. Those things happen. Those things happen. Take it in stride. Do the best you can. The best you can do is gather all the information and answer these questions. Okay. Now, security. Pretty straightforward when it comes to security. We talked about training. User awareness training, security awareness training, the usability. There we go. Probably spelled that wrong. And I apologize if I spell something wrong. The usability of a program can oftentimes lead to security issues, right? Something that is highly usable may have workarounds. Some users thrive on bypassing security measures, right? One of the best examples is when in PKI, right, pre-shared key infrastructure, you have certificates for your websites, and when a certificate is invalid and you try to open that website, you get that this site may not be safe. Click here to proceed anyway, right? The users will absolutely click that proceed anyway. They don't care, right? So what can you do? You just got to maintain that PKI, making sure your certificate management, your certificate lifecycle management, you're updating certificates and that kind of thing. You're renewing them. You're revoking them when they're expired or have been deprecated or something has happened, right? So that's just an example. The other thing that, the other direction I want to take this as far as security goes is the states of data. So one of the biggest things that you can do is understand the security measures around the different states of data. Now, when you have data in transit, okay, going from one place to another, some security focused questions that you can ask. Is that data traveling in an encrypted manner? Encrypted tunnel, right? Is this some kind of virtual private network? And it's some kind of encrypted tunnel for that data to travel in, which protects it from situations like man in the middle or what is now considered an on-path attack. Okay? Can we protect data while it is moving? The second biggest one is data at rest. Let me put some hyphens in here. Okay? Again, when you have data in storage, is it in a generic storage environment where other users can access it, or is it in a more secure data storage environment like an archival type of situation? Okay? When you archive data, are you encrypting it? Okay, so doesn't matter if data is in motion or if data is at rest, both of those should be protected by some level of encryption. Okay, certainly when it comes to a cloud environment. This is a cloud class, so we got to keep bringing it back to the cloud. The number one way that you can secure data at rest in the cloud is to encrypt it before you upload it. Keep those keys, right? Keep those keys secure on-prem. Don't have the encryption keys or the decryption keys anywhere near where the data lives, which is itself encrypted. Okay? You're just leaving yourself open for dire situations. Okay? So data at rest. Are we encrypting our data when it's archived? Are we protecting access to those locations where the data is stored? Okay? Is there proper logging and access control management? What about data at use? Data in use? Okay, so data in use itself. Oh, we got something in chat. Memory being processed is also a thing. AMD and others can encrypt data being operated on. You're right exactly where I'm going with this. You can have secure operating environments. You can have secure functionality where multiple people can work on data sets without actually giving up any of the secrets, giving up any of the actual sensitive portions of that data. Maybe you can perform algorithm checking without having those results being verified by other parties. Okay, and that's getting way outside the aspect of this course. I'm just trying to get you to think about security for all the different types of states of data. Okay, so you're right there with me. Data that is located in memory, either if it's volatile memory, right? It's worked on and then it disappears, or if it's more long-term where it's stored deeper, right? It's on an encrypted disk. You pull it out, it's unencrypted, you can work on it, but then definitely if you're paying for that type of environment, that type of software functionality where you can work on something while it's encrypted, that's protecting data in use, okay? The other thing about data, backups of the data. Okay, it's not good enough to just simply back up your data. The other portion of that is that you practice restoring your data from backups. Okay, backups are no good to you if you never practice restoring it, and then a disaster happens, an incident response, and you go to restore your data from backups and you find that it's been corrupted. But now you're really screwed, right? What are you going to do? Oh my gosh. Yeah, for sure. Veeam and Communication Vault. Certainly issues. Certainly they had their issues. You have to test your backups. That's all I can say about that. You can't really add any more detail onto that. How do you access data that is secured? Again, the difference, protecting the different states of data, data in transit, data at rest, and data in use. Training on how to properly use software, how to properly perform whatever it is, right? Use the VPN. You have to provide user awareness training on how to properly use a VPN, especially if you're doing something like a WireGuard type VPN where you have to actually supply them with a configuration file. Not your average user is not going to really understand what it means to upload a configuration file and use a VPN properly. Your more savvy users will definitely be able to figure it out, but how do you supply that user awareness training so that all of the employees in your business are on the same page as far as this is what you need to do to make this environment, the use of this software, the use of data in a cloud environment that much more secure, okay? One more thing about this. Especially, just going back to the data in transit portion. Let's think about the different levels of data sovereignty. Is it EI? I probably butchered that. Anyway, sovereignty, okay? Meaning that there's different rules regarding data as far as nation level laws are concerned, right? There is compliance, there's regulations, there's standards. When you are working with a cloud provider, One of those things that you can do in your due diligence and your business requirements gathering and analysis is understanding where all the data centers live for that service provider, that cloud entity. Do they have a data center located in the European Union? If so, does it comply with the GDPR regulation? If data has to flow from one side of the planet to the other, what countries does that data have to transmit through? Okay? And what laws are compatible, right? What laws are needed to be complied with regarding the use and transition of that data? Okay? A lot of things to consider there. We're not going to really dive into that much detail, but just know that that level exists, right? There may be a need to understand how data is getting from one side where your data center lives or your on-prem, on-site infrastructure. You're uploading data to a cloud service provider. Where are their data centers located, and how does data flow between their data centers? Okay, we talked about availability zones. We talked about regions yesterday. So that is a big portion of understanding locations, different laws and regulations, and nation-level laws and regulations. Compliance. Okay, encryption standards, regional security, backups, disaster recovery, business continuity. Do they have alternate paths to power sources? Do they have alternate paths to internet connectivity? Going back to the rule of nines. Who said that? Oh, Chris said that in the chat. The rule of nines. Do they have 99.99% uptime? Meaning that, they maybe have 8 hours of downtime throughout the entire 365 days in a year. Another thing to consider as you're gathering all these requirements.